standing in front of them and feeding them fish. They do have a couple of predators that they have to be on the lookout for. Now, their first predator, it's a killer whale. That second predator, I always forget what that second predator is. Let's see if these two girls can give us a hint to what that second predator might be. Yeah, I heard some of you yelling it out there. It is a shark. Now, if a sea lion were to come across a shark in the wild, they would do a behavior that we call porpoising. This is a behavior that allows them to keep going at those high speeds of almost 20 miles an hour, leap right out of the air, and take a breath and keep on going. I'm sure it also probably confuses that predator, seeing as the thing they were just chasing all of a sudden just disappeared right in front of their eyes. It's a pretty good diversion technique. Now, we did say sea lions in the wild, they don't have anybody standing in front of them and feeding them fish. They have to catch their fish on their own. Here at the zoo, we cut our fish into pieces because it allows us to do more behaviors to better take care of these animals and to do a show for you guys out there. But in the wild, sea lions, they'll actually swallow their fish whole. You see, they got this nice sharp set of teeth, but they don't have any flat teeth for grinding. So, they actually have to grab a hold of that fish and just swallow it down. I've actually seen a sea lion swallow a fish about 6 to 8 inches long, weighing over a pound, all in one bite with no problem at all. But the thing is, those fish, they don't want to be caught. They are swimming every which way, they're pretty fast, and they can be pretty slippery as well. So sea lions in the wild are going to need some adaptations to be able to help them to catch fish in the wild. Now their first adaptation is those strong front flippers that you saw allow them to move pretty fast in the water. Now I did say this morning that these girls weighed in at about 200 pounds. Well, ladies, you want to show them how strong those front flippers are? Yeah, they can support their whole weight with those front flippers. That super strength allows them to swim pretty fast if they're using those front flippers in the water. Now, the problem is, when you swim really fast with a big group of fish, they scatter. They go in every direction. So you're going to need to be pretty flexible to be able to chase those fish in all those directions. Now, there's actually a test you guys can do to see how flexible you are compared to a sea lion. If you want to tip your head back for me and see how far you can look. I see some of you trying it out there. Most of us, we can pretty much look straight up in the air. I know, Callie, it's embarrassing. Because how flexible are you guys? Yeah, they can touch their nose and their foreheads to their backs. That super flexibility helps them when they are trying to catch the fish in the wild. Now, the last thing you might need if you're trying to catch fish is some pretty keen eyesight. Sea lions can see both above and below the water, but you don't have to take my word for it. Let's see if we can get Miss Chloe here to take a look under the water for us today. Hey, Chloe, you want to take a look? You want to take a look under the water for us today? Yeah, you're going to have to get a little bit further down there. There we go. So she's taking a look under the water. So the big question is, hey, Chloe, could you see? Yeah? Could you see really well? Yeah. So they can see pretty well underwater. You can take Chloe's word for it. But the thing is, sea lions, they can dive up to 800 feet deep. It's pretty dark down there. The light doesn't penetrate. So they're going to need an adaptation that allows them to find fish in the dark. That is where these whiskers come into play. Sea lions can actually push their whiskers forwards and backwards, and they're very sensitive to any small movement in the water. So those whiskers will let you know that maybe a fish has swam right in front of you. They can also use those whiskers in the sand to find crustaceans, or in rock crevices to find fish that may be hiding from them. It's a pretty cool adaptation that these guys have. Our sea lions here at the zoo, they don't need to use all these adaptations to find their fish because they found their fish. It's right in front of them. So what we do is we incorporate these adaptations into some pretty cool show behaviors that I'll show you guys in just a little bit. So speaking of behaviors, I bet you're probably wondering how I get these animals to do the things that I'm asking them to do. We use a form of training here at the zoo called operant conditioning. It's pretty much just a positive-based training. So simply stated, we ask the animals to do a behavior, usually using a hand signal. If they get the answer right, they get a reward. Perfect reward for a sea lion is a piece of fish, right ladies? Alright, so for example, say I would like these girls to turn around again. I'll ask them both to turn around. They both do what I ask, so they both get their fishy reward. It works out great when it works. There's times when they get the answer wrong, which is nothing to be embarrassed about, ladies. There are times when they decide to swim away from me, pay absolutely no attention to me. There have even been times where we've had all 4 adult sea lions out here for a show, and all they've done for the entire show is sleep the whole time. Now, it makes for a pretty boring show, but there is one thing we could never do to our animals here. We could never punish our animals here. You see, we try to keep everything positive. What are you talking about? We don't punish you guys. Oh, spankings. No, there are no sea lion spankings here at the Memphis Zoo. Despite what these girls are trying to tell you, they are just being silly. We do not punish our animals. They're really big, they got those nice sharp teeth, and we wouldn't want them to get the wrong idea. We like to keep everything as positive as possible. If they decide not to participate in a show, that's okay. It's their choice. They don't have to perform if they don't want to. What we'll do is we will save their fish and we'll feed it to them later. So we would also never let them go hungry. Now we do train for a couple different reasons. The first reason is that this gives these animals some great exercise. Now, not only does it give them that physical exercise, but they get some mental exercise as well. Because they have to think pretty hard about what we're asking them to do. They have to do the right behavior to get the right reward. Now, we do train for another reason. These are what we call husbandry behaviors. They're things that allow us to get up close to the sea lions. We can brush their teeth. We can put drops in their eyes. They will even lie perfectly still and allow us to draw blood in a vessel near their hind flipper. They do all this just because they know at the end they are going to get their fishy reward. Which is pretty cool, because I bet you if you guys go to the doctor, you might need a nurse or your parents to hold your hand while you're getting a shot or maybe getting blood drawn, because you might be a little bit scared. These guys, they will lie perfectly still just because they know at the end that piece of fish is coming. Now those other behaviors that we train are show behaviors. Does anybody want to see any show behaviors today? Yeah, a couple people. All right, we're going to see if Miss Chloe here wants to show us a couple of show behaviors today. How many of you have ever played Frisbee before? Yeah, a couple of people. Chloe here, she likes to play Frisbee as well. But the problem with that is that Chloe here, she doesn't have any hands. So, you're going to have to watch and see how Chloe is going to play Frisbee with us here today. See if we can get her out there for us. All right. Chloe, are you ready? You got Callie in the way, don't you? All right. Oh, not today. Well, we got Callie out there. Let's see how Callie plays Frisbee. Oh. All right. Good job, Callie. Let's see. Chloe, you want to play with us today? We're going to see if Chloe might be able to play. See, Callie throws a Frisbee, but Chloe here, she catches one. We're going to see if we can get her to catch our Frisbee. That's all right. Like I said, they get to choose to perform or not. There is no punishment here at the Memphis Zoo.
Oh, look at that. That is so cool.
So I guess Callie here would like to perform today. See if she can get a round of applause there. All right, we'll bring Chloe up here and see if she can do our next behavior for us today. Now, take a look at this behavior here. See if you can see which adaptation I talked about earlier she might use to perform this behavior here. Great work, Chloe. All right.
Oh, wow.
All right, Chloe, you have some pants up there. You want to go and some dishes? All right, well, Chloe here, she's a pretty talented sea lion. I don't want to take anything away from her at all. She is balancing that ball right up there on her nose. But she has a secret. She's got some help. Those whiskers I talked about earlier, they actually come up and around that ball, and they keep it perfectly balanced right up there on her nose. Any small movement, those whiskers will readjust and keep it nice and perfect. It's nothing to our secret. Take a look and see if you can see those whiskers at work. Oh, she might not be performing. Let's see if we can get Miss Chloe back here. Hey, Chloe. Let's see. Hey, Chloe. You got a ball out there to balance. Would you like to go get it? Now we're playing with some fish. I guess it's more important. Like I said, they get to choose to perform or not. There is no punishing for these guys. Let's see. We're going to let her maybe be for a little bit. But we'll see if we can get her to balance that ball in a little bit. But I am running low here on fish. I'm going to be doing a couple more behaviors while the music is playing. But I'd like to thank you for joining us here at the Memphis Zoo today. Hope you come again sometime. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Shall we? Yeah, I'll get her. Going over there. Okay, what I want to